Hello friends, family, and internet strangers, Stephanie here, and I finally have a new What's for Dinner video for you. I apologize for the delay, but I really just have not had any motivation to edit my videos. I have still been filming them, so I have probably 2 months worth of What's for Dinner videos already filmed, just not edited, but I am getting back on track, so I hope y'all enjoy this, and thank you for your patience. First up, some cabbage stir fry. I had some kielbasa in my fridge that I needed to use up and hadn't decided how I wanted to do that. And I also had recently made Instant Pot cabbage soup, which I will link the video down below if you've never seen me do that. It is one of my favorite things to make. So anytime I make it, I always have half a head of cabbage left that I have to use up. So I had some peppers and onions and this kielbasa. I decided to make a little stir fry. I like my onions and peppers to be really soft, so I put a little bit of water in with them so that they would get softer before they got too brown. Once they did get soft, I added a little bit of garlic into my pan, spritzed it with a little bit of avocado oil, and then it was time to add my cabbage back in. So you can do this to your desired doneness. I like soft food, so I like to let this cook for a while, let the cabbage really wilt down, add some water to it, let it steam. So once it started to steam up a little bit, it still wasn't done cooking, but I needed to season it. I decided to use this Creole seasoning that I had seen on Frugal Fit Mom's channel. She calls it Uncle Tony's. I'll just call it that because I don't think I can pronounce what it actually is called, but it's this Creole seasoning, and I thought that would go really well with the cabbage and with the kielbasa, and I was not wrong. This was a delicious meal, nice and healthy, pretty low carb there, so definitely recommend giving this one a try if you've got these ingredients on hand. Next up, I still had some of that kielbasa left, so I decided to do a creamy Cajun pasta. Since I had enjoyed the seasoning with my cabbage, I decided, you know what, let's try this in a pasta form. So I did the same thing with my kielbasa as I did in the previous part of this video, which was just brown it on both sides. Since it is already fully cooked, you just need to brown it up. And then I set it aside and started to add some more peppers and onions, just like with this previous recipe. So pretty much the only difference between this is it has pasta instead of cabbage, and it's a bit creamier. So I like to utilize my same ingredients different ways as much as possible so I don't get sick of them. Since I do cook in somewhat smaller portions, I almost always have leftover ingredients. So if you are cooking for one or looking for ways to reuse different ingredients, I hope you'll consider sticking around and subscribing if you have not already. And I apologize for the delay between videos. I'm gonna try and be better now. I'm getting back into a routine. It's been a rough couple months, but I am starting to get back into normal life a little bit. So videos should be coming out a little bit more regularly now. Once my peppers and onions are getting nice and cooked, I add my pasta to a pot of salted water. This is the Aldi red lentil pasta. I had never tried it, but it's not bad. I don't know that I'll get it again, but it wasn't bad. I also used it for mac and cheese a couple months after this because that's how far behind I am in editing, that this is from several months ago. I'm pretty sure this is from maybe January that I did all this. So what you've seen me do in here while I've been chit-chatting is add in some heavy cream and Parmesan cheese and a little bit of garlic, salt, and Cajun seasoning to my peppers and onions, and then add the kielbasa back in. In goes the pasta. I top it with a little bit of Parmesan cheese once it all comes together. And this was a tasty way to use up a bunch of ingredients that I had laying around in my fridge. Again, recommend this one as well. Now, this next meal, super simple. Some nights I just don't want to cook, and some nights I get home and I've had a big lunch and I don't want something big, or some nights I don't know what I want and it takes me so long to decide that I have run out of time to cook and it's 9 p.m. and I should probably eat something. So I go super simple. This is one of those little packages of minute rice. It was, I believe, a brown and long grain rice or brown and wild rice. I add a little bit of butter, a little bit of garlic salt and onion powder, and mix that together. And then once I've got that cooked and mixed together, all I'm going to do is add some frozen broccoli on top of it. And that frozen broccoli, I do the same thing. I add a little bit of butter, a little bit of garlic salt, onion powder, and that's it. Broccoli and rice. Dinner doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes you can just do something nice and basic. Now, this next meal is something that was totally on the fly. This is something that I decided to do because I went to the grocery store and saw what was on clearance. Sometimes if I don't know what I want to eat, I'll go to the grocery store and look in the meat aisle and see if I can find any of those reduced stickers on anything and then plan a meal around that. So all I bought this night was cube steak and a potato, and everything else I already had. So I decided to do cube steak and mashed potatoes, and this was my first time ever making cube steak. So it was interesting, and I definitely winged it, but it turned out well. So for my mashed potatoes, I have peeled my mashed potatoes. If you've never seen me do that before, where I do it on a paper towel or any sort of newspaper, definitely recommend that, because then you can just take the peels and throw them away and you don't have as much mess. I learned the hard way to never peel potatoes down the garbage disposal. If you haven't learned that lesson, learn it from me. Don't peel potatoes over garbage disposal. So I put these in the Instant Pot and I season them: garlic salt, a little bit of onion powder, a little bit of pepper, and a little bit of paprika, and a little bit of water in there. And then I just let these go in the Instant Pot, and once they are done, I will mash them all up. While those are in the Instant Pot, I start working on my cube steak. I take a little bit of flour, a little bit of garlic salt, a little bit of onion powder, and then some pepper, and mix that all together. Here is my reduced price cube steak. It was less than $3 for these 2 pieces of cube steak, so I could not pass up that particular deal. I toss these around until they are well coated in the flour, and then once that is all set, I put them in a pan with a little bit of oil. I believe this was vegetable oil that I used. Again, this was several months ago. I am so behind on editing. So once these are browned up, because that's all I'm doing, I'm not fully cooking them, I am just browning them on both sides, although they are so thin that that's enough to get them mostly cooked. I'm going to remove those from the pan, and then in my same pan, start to build a little bit of a gravy. If you are new to my channel, you might not know of my love for onions, but I use onions in pretty much everything, so I always have them on hand. So I decided to do like an onion gravy for these cube steaks. I scrape up all the brown bits from the steak in with my onions, add a little bit of butter, and really get those nice and brown and a little bit caramelized. And then once that is starting to caramelize a bit, I take some beef broth. This was water and a little bit of the Better Than Bouillon beef base, and I start to make sure all of that is dissolved, and then add a little bit of a slurry as well. So that's just about a tablespoon of water and a tablespoon of cornstarch mixed together and then put in there, so that will thicken up this broth concoction I've got here to become more of a gravy. Once that is done, I put my steaks back in, and then I just let this reduce a little bit, and in the meantime I work on my potatoes. So once they are fully cooked, I add in butter and a little bit of heavy whipping cream, since that was the dairy that I had on hand this particular week. Mash those up with a potato masher. My sauce has reduced, and this was another really tasty meal. I was very proud of myself, considering this was all winging it. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some inspiration for some different meals, and thank you again for sticking with me if you have been here for a while, and if you are new, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll consider giving it a thumbs up, and definitely leave me a comment down below with what your favorite thing that you had to eat this week was. Thanks for watching.